Ladies and gentlemen, attention, UEFA have just made a decision that could actually help Barcelona in the Champions League campaign. And as crazy as it sounds that UEFA are actually helping Barcelona this time, they have just released a statement this morning. And culers, the news actually have to do with one of our staff members, in fact, the staff member, Hansi Flick. If you look up Hansi Flick and UEFA right now, you will see a bunch of articles talking about this very story. Now, for context, for those who aren't aware, this decision has to do with the match that Barcelona are set to play against Newcastle at the St. James Park. In regards to this match, Hansi Flick wasn't going to be able to manage it because he was actually suspended in the last Champions League season campaign against Inter, meaning that Barcelona's first Champions League match against Newcastle would have to have been played without their regular manager. Barcelona then submitted an appeal to UEFA, pleading with them that they please allow Hansi Flick to manage that game. And after days of reviewing the application, UEFA decided that they will remove the suspension from Hansi Flick. Matter of fact, it wasn't only Hansi Flick who got the suspension removed, but also his assistant manager Marcus Sorg, in that both him and Hansi Flick will be able to manage Barcelona's opening game against Newcastle. This is great news for Barcelona because this match is going to be a difficult one that they need their managing staff. Of course, though, we can already hear the complaints from some people in regards to this matter. But culers, for now, please let me know your thoughts and opinions. Lamine Yamal has just released his new signature collection boots, and these might actually be his best ones yet. Now, culers, if you guys want more insight and details into these boots, please check out my friend's video Abdullah. He gives a good overview of the boots in himself. I personally want to talk about my favorite aspect, namely being the Lamine Yamal name under the boots. Maybe you guys might know better than me, but I personally have never seen a player's name under the boots. Only Lamine Yamal have I seen him in this collection. I mean, I don't know. I looked it up on Google to see if there's any other player who's ever released a collection of boots like this with the name under the boots, and nothing came up. It just suggested that maybe it's possible, but nobody's ever actually done this. And quite honestly, especially in this picture, obviously there's editing and lighting and everything, and it makes it pop out, but I just look so cool. And if there is one thing that Lamine Yamal is good at other than football, it is definitely the photo shoots that he has every time he releases a new collection. This one was the one with his old boots. You can see they're like a more like subtle pink, whereas for these ones it's a much more darker pink mixed with some purple in the back. Quite honestly, the boots are just perfect, and I can already anticipate that they're gonna sell out like crazy. I definitely can't wait for Lamine Yamal to already use them in this weekend's match against Valencia. I hope that he should be able to use them. Culers, UEFA has delayed their decision based on the Spanish Football Federation's request to deny Barcelona from playing their match against Villarreal in the United States at the Hard Rock Stadium. The news were confirmed today that says that the executive committee on Thursday from UEFA delayed making a decision on the request from the Spanish Football Federation to clear a Villarreal Barcelona La Liga match for Miami's Hard Rock Stadium. What this means is that the Spanish Football Federation does not want Barcelona to play that match against Villarreal in Miami. This is also based on the appeal from several other Spanish teams, including Real Madrid, who do not think that this is a fair move by the Blaugrana side. Apparently, 20 captains from each team in La Liga is opposing this match from being played in Miami, meaning that the only captain who did not oppose was the captain from Barcelona, indicating that even the Villarreal captain himself is also in opposition from playing that match in Miami. But the question is, why would they allow for this to happen if they were going to oppose it later on? The matter is complicated, but essentially La Liga allowed it and actually pushed for this to happen, and the RFEF were actually in agreement with it. But when Real Madrid and the other Spanish team decided to oppose it, that is when the RFEF started putting pressure on La Liga so that this move did not happen after all. In the end, this does not affect Barcelona whether they play the match at Villarreal or in Inter Miami. The only reason the club were willing to do this was to expand their worldwide popularity. For now, we just have to wait for more details and see what happens in the end. Culers, let me know what you think. Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester City are now on the verge of signing a Barcelona player in the January transfer market. Make sure to stay until the end so you do not miss out on any information. Culers, drop a follow and let's get to this. The story begins with Manchester City, as allegedly there is one of their best players who is set to leave the club in the January transfer market. The news were confirmed by several sources who say that Bernardo Silva has a contract pending with a set club. But who is this club? That would be none other than his ex-club, Benfica. Because of these rumors, Manchester City and Pep Guardiola have already began seeking a possible replacement to Bernardo Silva. Pep Guardiola has chosen one Barcelona player to be that possible replacement, being none other than Fermín López. The news were even confirmed by several outlets who say that Man City wants to buy Fermín López as Bernardo's replacement. But culers, it's important to note that Manchester City and Pep Guardiola will only pursue for Fermín López on this one condition. You see, the presidential candidate at Benfica, João López has confirmed that Bernardo Silva has a contract already waiting for him at Benfica. If the deal happens to go through and he leaves in the January transfer market, then only and only then will Manchester City proceed to sign somebody as a replacement. However, let us remember that Fermín López recently said that he's already playing at the team of his dreams. There should be no reason for us to stress about this. I personally think that Fermín López will stay at Barcelona.